Good morning everyone, how are you? Today is Saturday, it's the end of April. I was going to say March, but April. Oh my god, it's been such a while since I filmed a new video. March was horrendous. March was so, wait, yeah, let's not mince our words. March was horrendous. April was not much better. Slightly better, but I knew that March was going to be hard because work is always at its worst in March. I should look here. At its worst in March, but that was overwhelming, honestly. I think like it's worse and worse every year. Even though we do try to prepare for it, it's always such a shock when March comes around. And April was just me recovering from March, really. So I feel like I've been pretty much hibernating for the past 2 months or so, and trying to just come back to myself, I suppose, in any way I can. Anywho, this is my tea today. It's a Lapsang Souchong in my beautiful Disney World mug, which I bought back in 2018. That was a while ago. And I haven't been since, just the heartbreak of my life. And yeah, so how are you? It's been a while, and I just wanted to do a little bit of a catch up. I haven't been able to enjoy that many things, although that being said, I do feel like I'm in a really good place right now in terms of books, in terms of just consuming media in general. So a very relaxed place right now, so I'd like to talk about that too. First of all, I would like to talk about the fact that I got back into running, and if you don't care at all about hearing me wax lyrical about running or working out in general, please skip this section. I won't be offended, I promise. I'll put a timestamp down below so you can just skip this whole section and go straight to the books and shows recommendations. But for those of you who are interested, hi. I just got back into running, I think a couple of weeks ago, just about. I used to live pretty much in the countryside for about 6 years or so. That's when I started my channel actually, but I used to pretty much live in the countryside, and back then for about 6 years I ran practically every day. I had a very strange job, and I would finish my job at around 4 p.m. or so, and I lived very close to work, so I would be at home really at 4:30 or so I had plenty of time to run before bed. So I would go for a run pretty much every day in the countryside, so in the fresh air outside in the countryside, with no people really around, nobody around. I was alone. That was great. I really enjoyed it. And at the time, what started me is that Disney they still do plenty of races in the US, but they used to do a Run Disney in Paris as well, in Disneyland Paris. And I lived a 5-minute walk from Disneyland Paris back then. I live in Paris proper now, which is about an hour and a half away from Disneyland Paris, but anyhow, but yeah, back then there was a 5-minute walk from Disneyland Paris. I used to go to Disneyland Paris pretty much every day, and I ran my first race because Disney was actually organising it. So I trained for my first 5k at the time because Disney was organising it, and that was back in 2015. That was the first year doing this, coming to France and organising this in France, in Paris, and that's why I started running, because I really wanted to take part in a Disney event. I'm such a Disney fan. So that's why I started running, and then I realised I really enjoyed running for the sake of it. They haven't done a Disneyland Paris race since COVID, so I don't know if they're coming back at all, or are never coming back, which would honestly break my heart. But I would like to run in the US one day. That's one of my dreams. And back in 2021, when I met my boyfriend and we moved in together, we moved into Paris proper, where he lived, and I haven't been able to run since. As I told you before, I like running in the fresh air outside. I hate treadmills. I've never been able to run on a treadmill. I like the fresh air outside in the elements and rain or shine. And just be alone with myself and my thoughts and my music, and it's a form of meditation for me, honestly. Yes, I like doing that, and Paris is not really the best place. I think major cities and capital cities in particular are not really the best places for running. So I finally found a place to run it feels safe to me. I'm very big on safety. I just spilled my tea everywhere. Okay, wasn't burning, thank God. But yeah, I found a place that's safe to me. I think if you're a woman watching, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I found a place that feels really safe, and it's outside. It's not super diverse, so there isn't a lot to look at, I would say, compared to the just free countryside where you can run for hours with different landscapes every time and that sort of thing. But it's mostly trees where I run now, but at least it's safe, and I feel very, very good about that. And there's really just nobody around most of the time, so yeah, that's been really wonderful. And I've been running 5Ks mostly since I started again, really. And yeah, it's been really, really good. It feels so good mentally. That's kind of my primary motivation for running, actually. It's just mentally, it feels so good. It feels like, honestly, it feels like meditation to me. However, if you're watching and you're not a runner, I can tell you that even though I started running theoretically in 2015, though I had a long break, I absolutely remember not being able to run for more than 20 seconds without being out of breath and wanting to die. So we all start somewhere, and if you wanted to start something new and specifically exercise and perhaps specifically running, I think it's a good sport to get into, because you don't need very much, really. I started with the trainers that I had in my cupboard at the time, so I just grabbed a pair of trainers which were just sitting around doing nothing, and I just went out, and instead of walking at some point, I just started running for, I don't know, 10-20 seconds at a time. And now I can run 5Ks, and at the time I could also run half marathons, which I'm hoping to go back into. I personally don't run for times or distances or anything. I honestly just run for myself. I walk, run most of the time. I just take a break when I need to. I have a zero pressure, zero goals or anything. I do have an app called Runkeeper, which I use the free version. It works wonderful. The free version is just what I need, and it just tells me what distance I run and the time that I run. So that allows me to just track the kilometers mostly, because I just really don't care about the time. So yeah, it's been really great, and I'm just so happy, really, I'm the first person to be shocked. I was never a sports person growing up. I think everybody in my class really would be shocked to hear that I run today. I don't run very much or well, but it brings me joy. So I'm just so happy to be able to get back into it, and it's such a cheap sport as well. All you need, honestly, is a pair of shoes, that's it, and the outside, really, a piece of land where you can run freely without anybody interrupting you. I must say, I personally cannot run without listening to music. I know that some people do. My boyfriend likes running. Well, he doesn't love running the way I do, but he's fine with it. I converted him, and he's fine with it, and I think he prefers running without music. Whatever, I think he's a monster, but I think that's just weird. But I personally prefer running with music. I can't run without music. And what I do is that I create a ritual for myself. So I do have a playlist specific to running, and it's all of my favorite songs in multiple genres. So nostalgic, I was born in 1988, so nostalgic songs from my childhood, from my teenage years, from my 20s. Well, lots of really good songs on there which I really enjoy. More recent songs as well, which I do pick up from time to time. And I personally, my favorite genre which is current, is country music, so I have a lot of country as well. And what I do is that I don't listen to this playlist or to these songs outside of running, which gives me motivation. Actually, it gives me an incentive to run, because if I wanted to listen to this, I have to get outside and run, because that's the only time when I listen to these songs. So that's great. And when I come back home, when I finish a run, I always play the Harry Potter soundtrack. Harry Potter soundtracks, I should say, from multiple movies. So I do have a playlist. I just found on Spotify a playlist of all of the Harry Potter soundtracks, put in one playlist, so all of the 8 films, the music for the 8 films, and I just play that randomly on my walks. I always start with a prologue, Edward's theme, and I always start with Harry's Wondrous World as well when I finish a run, and it's just, it feels wonderful. Honestly, it feels like a cocoon, and I'm just so happy that I was able to get back into running. So yeah, that was my first part. Sorry about that. It had nothing to do with books. But yeah, so March and April were interesting, and here are the things that saved me during March and April. So these are in no particular order, actually. They are in chronological order of my enjoying them, as opposed to categories. So it's going to be a mixture of TV shows and books. So first of all is House of Eliott. House of Eliott is, I'm going to, okay, just move a little bit back there so I can just insert all of the images here. So House of Eliott is a period drama which is set in the 1920s. I think it was broadcast in the 90s on the BBC. It was either BBC or ITV, and it's, I think it ran for about 3 seasons, so 3 series of House of Eliott, and it takes place in the 1920s, and it's about 2 sisters, Bea and Evie, and Bea and Evie are impoverished. It's kind of a sensibility retelling, I suppose, the beginning of the show, but they are kind of impoverished by the death of their father. So their father dies, and they realise they have to work to make a living. You have to make a living in order to survive, really. So they wonder, really, they are I suppose upper class, well, not upper class, but middle class women who are suddenly impoverished and realise they have to work, and they have never worked before, so they have minimum set of skills, but they need to work for a living, and they do enjoy fashion design. They do enjoy just drawing clothes on a napkin at a restaurant, or just thinking about what people are wearing in streets, or how they could improve their own. They're pretty good seamstresses as well, so how they could improve their own clothes. And they decide to create a fashion house, House of Eliott, which is going to mostly create fashion for runways and that sort of thing. So very upper class fashion. And that's the show. That's House of Eliott. It I actually gave it a go years and years ago, but I had only finished the first series. The second series, to me at the time, had a very different tone, and I was never able to actually finish the show because I was just, I don't know, I was just bothered by the tone of the second series, which felt like too much like a soap opera to me. But I started again recently, well, back in March, I suppose, and fell in love completely with the entire show, all 3 seasons. It just follows them both. Evie is more shy and reserved, and Bea is wonderful, extrovert, and very she's very take-charge sort of woman. She's wonderful, and the contrast between the two is wonderful. They have this sisterly affection, which is wonderful. We do follow them on their own romantic entanglements and relationships, friendships, all sorts of things, and of course the expansion of the House of Eliott. I must say the fashion on this show is absolutely on point. It is so beautiful. The garments are exquisite, and the actresses are just absolutely wonderful. The whole cast is so good, so perfect for their parts, and I absolutely adored it. I know that a few politicians actually were huge fans of House of Eliott. I found that out actually when, you know, looking up the show online, which was really funny to me. But yeah, it's a really excellent show, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. If you're looking for a bit of a different period drama, it's a very light, fun 1920s period drama, and it's just excellent, honestly. I'm just such a fan of it, and I don't know, well, the show ended pretty much in a cliffhanger, in that they decided to end it before it was properly finished, before the plot line really was properly finished. So you'll have to imagine, I suppose, the rest of the story. Although the characters are in a good place, but at the end of the show, I would have liked to see a proper ending. Had they known that they were going to be cancelled, I suppose. But absolutely wonderful, such a gem, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Something else which I actually read a long time ago, and which was a reread, and which kind of saved me, really, comedy and funny books really in particular, absolutely save me time and time again in times of reading slump. I went through a massive reading slump. In a way, I'm still, I think, going through it, but yeah, March was just absolutely horrendous in terms of reading, and I'm just so happy that a few books were able to save me like that, and two come to mind specifically. First was Diary of a Provincial Lady by Delafield. This is amazing. If it doesn't save you from, I don't know, sadness, a reading slump, a bad day, I don't know what will, honestly. That and P.G. Wodehouse. I read one P.G. Wodehouse novel and it completely turned around my week. So yeah, Diary of a Provincial Lady is a classic, I think, of humour, of comedy. It's brilliant, and it's in diary form of a woman in her, I don't know, in the 1950s or so, I want to say, and she writes a diary of all of her everyday life, really. And she's got a very funny husband who doesn't speak to her, and it's always kind of hiding behind the newspaper. She has very interesting, shall we say, children, and a whole village life really going on about her. And what's really charming, and what really makes, I think, this book extremely funny, is absolutely the writing. It's a riot. It makes me laugh out loud every single time. Everything she kind of sees and gossips about is absolutely pristine. I love it so much, and there are just whole phrases and whole passages which make me absolutely raw. And I didn't talk about that actually at the beginning when I talked about running, but running is an excellent activity for people watching, because people just don't pay attention to you when you're running. You're just part of the landscape, and what people do and say and are when they don't think that they're being watched or heard is hilarious. I've seen and heard so many things on my runs. It's been wonderful. It's been a joy. Anyway, so yeah, Diary of a Provincial Lady is kind of the gossipy diary of a provincial lady which you need in your life. Honestly, it's so good. And I think I reread Thank You Jeeves by P.G. Wodehouse, which is one of his Jeeves novels, and it's just absolutely elite. I love the Jeeves and Wooster books so much. The show as well, which is excellent, starring Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry. But yeah, it's a really good way to get me out of a reading slump, or to get me out of anything that's not ideal, really, because this is perfect. This is absolutely the epitome of perfection. And once again, in this novel, as with most novels actually, with Jeeves and Wooster, Bertie Wooster just gets into marriage, really, entanglement, so an engagement that he has to get out of, and Jeeves helps him with very unexpected circumstances, and he plays the ukulele in this, and Jeeves actually gives his notice and starts working for somebody else, and they are secondary characters who make several appearances throughout the books, which are absolutely hilarious. I don't think P.G. Wodehouse knew just how much relief he would give to the world when he wrote these books. I think they should be, honestly, just refunded. They should be covered by health insurance, because they are just a balm to the soul. Absolutely wonderful, and comedic genius, I think. I highly recommend any of the Jeeves and Wooster books, honestly. Absolutely wonderful. We went to the cinema in March, I think it was, with my boyfriend. We don't often go because I have very specific tastes in movies. I mostly, in terms of new releases, I'm mostly interested in new releases by Disney, and that's pretty much it. So we went to see Moana 2, which I have seen very critical reviews. I haven't read the reviews, but I have seen very critical feedback, I suppose, online. So I don't know how well received the movie was, but I loved it. I thought it was really good. I loved Moana, the first film, so much, and I thought the second film was really, really good, and it expanded the world without completely straying from the original premise, which I loved. I loved Moana herself. She was wonderful. I love that we saw well, Maui and a lot of the characters who we saw actually in the first film, but also different ones. And the songs, I have to say that the songs were excellent. I thought they were really catchy. However, I couldn't remember any of them by the end of the movie. When we left the theatre, I tried humming one of the songs from the movie, which were very catchy in the moment, and I couldn't actually. All I could remember were the songs in the first movie by Lin-Manuel Miranda. So I don't know what that says about the songs in Moana 2, but I loved the movie. I thought it was really great, and there is a secret, I suppose, scene during the credits which does allude to a Moana 3, which I think is very, very good. I loved the ending. The ending made me cry. It's a very positive film. It's very Disney. The colours are gorgeous. The animation is stunning. Gosh, the water, it absolutely made me want to visit Tahiti, for example, or just Polynesia. Absolutely gorgeous film, and you can tell all of the love and all of the traditions and stories that they drew from in order to make this movie. I think it just shows that it's a movie made with love, and I absolutely adored it. Honestly, I thought it was just so beautiful. I loved it. I would absolutely watch it again soon. Next up, I am, as you probably know if you watched my channel before, but I am currently this year, because it's the 250th anniversary of Jane Austen, I am currently rereading all of her books, which I do from time to time because she's one of my absolute favourite authors. And I reread Emma, my namesake, in March, and that was such joy. I love Emma, actually. This is so funny because this didn't used to be one of my favourite Jane Austen books, but it has absolutely redeemed itself, I must say, in the past few years, because I have reread it, I think, twice in the past 2 or 3 years, and each time I just rank it a bit higher than before. So if you were to ask me my ranking of my favourite Jane Austen novels, I would say she wrote 6 novels, so that's very easy. I would say that my favourite is still Pride and Prejudice. I think it's just a perfect novel. So Pride and Prejudice is her essence, really. Not because it's Pride and Prejudice, because it's so famous, but because it's truly, I think, her best writing, honestly. Her most sparkling writing. There isn't a single word I would remove from this book, which I think is quite rare. So Pride and Prejudice would be first. I think second would be Persuasion, although my recent read was a bit, I wouldn't say it was, well, how do I put it? A recent read wasn't as positive, I would say, as it used to be, mostly because of her portrayal of secondary female characters opposed to Anne. Anyway, I should probably make another video about that, but it was interesting actually to compare how she describes Anne with all of her intelligence and all of her maturity, I suppose, and all of the other female characters apart from 1 or 2, as compared to Louisa, for example. Anyway, so yeah, number 2 would still be Persuasion, I think. Her writing in that is really mature and gorgeous, and the relationship, I think the romance in this is just so different from the others, because second chance romance. So Persuasion, number 2. Number 3 would still be Northanger Abbey. I love Northanger Abbey. I think I'm the only one on the planet really who loves it as much as I do, but I love Northanger Abbey. I think it's just so funny, and I just identify with Catherine Morland so much, still, even though I'm 36, soon to be 37 next month. Number 4 would be Emma, and then Sense and Sensibility and Mansfield Park. And I think what's changed in recent years that I used to rank Emma second to last. So Sensibility is just lower for me right now. I think the writing is just all over the place, and none of the relationships really work, which is interesting. And Mansfield Park is dead last. I enjoy it as a book. It's still a Jane Austen novel, but God, talk about relationships not making any sense. Wow. Poor Fanny, she's wonderful, but she deserves better. Anyway, yeah, so that was it. And rereading Emma was truly a joy. I just feel for all the Hackbury residents, really. I just love this place so much. It's like a village, and it's like a village novel to me. It's a village tale, really, almost like Miss Reed and Angelo Thurkel, really. It's just a village tale to me, very much of Highbury life, and yeah, absolutely wonderful. I just love it, and I love Miss Bates. She's my favorite character. I want to be her, so yeah, she's my heroine, really, truly. Yeah, so Emma was wonderful. I also rewatched Emma 2020, which, oh, this is so good. Such a good movie. We were blessed, honestly, recently with the recent adaptation of Little Women and the recent adaptation of Emma. I think it just, I was expecting nothing at all, because we had really good adaptations of those books. So everything else really was just a bonus for me, and I was just blown away by those two. But yeah, rewatching Emma 2020 was just such joy. The aesthetic in this film is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So symmetrical, so floral and so pastoral as well. The songs, the music is enchanting, I think, and you really feel that Highbury is a village in this. I love the humour as well, and the romantic relationship, and the dancing between Knightley and Emma. The dance scene is one of my absolute favourites in Jane Austen adaptations ever. So absolutely gorgeous. I love this film. I rewatch it all the time, but I just wanted to mention it. Something else which was new is Ariel, the TV show. Oh gosh, this is so good. I am such a fan of Disney Channel and Disney Junior in this particular case shows, really. I'm such a fan of them. I just always give them a go. So I semi-recently, so in the last 5 years or so, discovered Ellen of Avalor and Sophia the First. Yeah, Ellen of Avalor, Sophia the First, which are huge favourites of mine. Honestly, I finished Sophia the First recently this year, and all I wanted to do was just going back to the beginning and rewatch it all over again. It was so good, and this is so good as well. Ariel, the TV show. So it's about Ariel, who she has two friends actually. She's not, I think in the movie she's quite a solitary figure, really, but she's much younger in this. It's a Disney Junior film, or Disney Junior show, and so she's much younger. She's middle grade age, I would say, so about, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10. And she has two friends, and they all have kind of specific powers, really, things they can do, and they live under the sea, really. And her aunt Ursula is not an evil an evil octopus. She's actually quite charming, and there are songs in every single episode. And what I love the most about it is how much it actually develops life under the sea. What my personal frustration, I suppose, with the Little Mermaid movie is that I think we all, every single little girl who left this movie wanted to be a mermaid. And the problem is that Ariel does not want to be a mermaid at all. She wants to be a human, and so we don't explore you know, under the sea as much as we should. I think we should explore the oceans and what it feels like to be a mermaid, and what all of the opportunities you have when you're a mermaid or merman. And I just think that Ariel TV show does that spectacularly. It's actually very rare, would you believe, to find anything in animation, in live action, in books, anything that's about a happy mermaid living under the sea and all of her adventures, and what's different about living under the sea as opposed to living on the land. And this does that spectacularly. I think it was so inventive, and every single episode just talks about a different aspect of living under the sea, and you meet so many creatures and so many friends. And again, the songs are very catchy. I just love this TV show. It's pure joy. I highly recommend it, honestly. It's pure joy. Actually, speaking of that, the Ariel, the Little Mermaid TV show back in the 1990s did that very well. But this is I think, yeah, this is the most recent rendition. This is what I watched most recently. So, but yeah, definitely, if you want life under the sea, really, if you want to be a mermaid and you want to experience life as a mermaid, I think that the Little Mermaid TV show as well is but I haven't watched that in a very long time. I should rewatch it, shouldn't I? I really want to. Oh, speaking of this is on my list actually, but speaking of Disney films which I watched recently, which I hadn't watched, would you believe, one of my personal goals is to watch every single piece of media which was, and consume really every single piece of media which was made for the Disney princesses. And I had never prior to this year, I had never watched any of the Aladdin sequels, and I wanted to see Jasmine in something else. I've never seen the Aladdin TV show in its entirety. I caught a few episodes when I was a child and it was on TV, but I have never seen the entire thing, so I want to do that. And I watched recently The Return of Jafar and Aladdin King of Thieves. The Return of Jafar was good. King of Thieves was amazing. I was not expecting that at all. The whole premise is that Aladdin was actually looking for his father. There is, I think, 2.5 seconds of Jasmine in this movie, so it's not really a princess movie, but the story was, I thought, was really good, and we got to see parts of Agrabah which we never saw before, and it was a brand new plot, and I loved it, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, absolutely, it just. Yeah, I'm so happy actually when I get to consume Disney content which I have never seen before, especially when it's related to princesses. So this is a very good tea. Have I told you what it was? Yeah, Lapsang Souchong. Next is a cozy fantasy book, which is Halfling's Harvest. Halfling's Harvest is so charming. It takes place in, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but Idria, sure. It's part of the Tales of Idria series, which started with Cursed Cocktails by S.L. Rowland. And Halfling's Harvest is about a halfling who is actually, she owns a vineyard and she owns a wine company in a small village, and she has got competition, but she makes her wine the old-fashioned way without magic, and her competition makes it with magic, so it's a bit unfair. And it's about village life, it's about making wine, it's about good food, good wine, good company. It's a hug in a bowl, honestly, a hug of a book. It's such a comforting book. I loved it so much. The main character is absolutely super charming, and all of the scenes of friendship and sharing food and sharing laughter and stories are absolutely wonderful. The romance is so special as well, it's so sweet, and I absolutely adored this book. I loved all of the books in this series. This is number 3. And I absolutely wanted to, I read it on Kindle Unlimited when it was released, and I absolutely wanted to buy the physical copies actually, because they are some of my favourite books, really. I absolutely love them. If you need just a hug and something really comforting and warming, and just meet really good people in fiction who are going to be lifelong friends to you, I highly recommend this series, and I highly recommend Halfling's Harvest as well. The author is really a sweetheart as well. The author is in the Cozy Fantasy Reddit group. I post there, I don't know, twice a year maybe or so, but whenever I have something to say about a cozy fantasy book. But he's part of, well, I should say they actually, because I don't know, but they are part of this group on Reddit, and all of their comments are just absolutely charming and so grateful, and I'm just so happy, honestly, to discover those books, which are just what I need right now, what we all need. I think what the world needs right now is just comfort in a book, honestly. Cozy fantasy is just where it's at. I reread, I should say, A Little Princess. Oh, this book is gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. A Little Princess by Frances Hogson Burnett. I came actually to this story on the plane, would you believe, when I was a child. When I was a child, there used to be, I think it was a TV show. Was it Rupert Graves? I don't know. But there was, I think, a 3-part miniseries. Yeah, let's go with that. I think it was a miniseries. It might have been a film, I don't know, of A Little Princess, and that's how I came to it. And I thought at the time, oh my gosh, this is so gorgeous. about Sarah Crewe, who lives in absolute luxury. She lives in the lap of luxury really in India, and then one day her father tells her that they both need to go back to England, and she has never seen England before. She's always heard about England through books, and so she moves to England, and her father needs to go for work, and there's a mine scheme abroad, and he needs to go. So he puts her into the care of this school, and the school at first treats her like the little princess she is, with all of her wardrobe and all of her dolls and her maid, and she has special treatment. Of course, this also ignites jealousy from some of the girls, but she also makes a lot of friends because she has such a generous heart, and she's such a beautiful soul, and she's a beautiful soul. And one day the headmistress actually learns that her father died without leaving any money to care for Sarah, and so she turns Sarah into a servant for the school. But Sarah she's an Anne of Green Gables sort of person. She has her own particular strength inside, and she just rises to the occasion really. She may be a servant by day, but her whole her spirit is untouched, and she is absolutely a princess at heart still. And this is the story really. This is a story of resilience really, also a sort of Cinderella story as well, and a story of resilience and of friendship. And it's got maybe my favorite quote ever, low-key, which is I can be a princess inside. And I think that's the entire really this entire point of the book really, is that no matter what happens to the world, you can still be a princess inside. And I think that's just so powerful, honestly, as a message, and I loved this book so much. It's a bonbon of a book. It is so sweet and so charming, and even in adversity, Sarah is the heroine of your dreams, and I am so grateful that I actually reread this book. It's just so, it brought me back to myself, and it brought me back to very core beliefs, and to the whole idea of being a princess inside just really touches me, and it's just so profound, honestly. And I think it's just what we need, what everyone needs, honestly, is that no matter what happens around you, you can still be your own person, and you can still be your mind can still be an absolute palace. Yeah, so which is another quote actually. Next up, we're almost at the end here, so next up would be my current obsession, my current video game obsession, would you believe, which is Assassin's Creed Syndicate. So I haven't told you about this because it's fairly recent. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate for the past, I think, 2 weeks, and I have sunk, I think, 70 hours into the game. So low-key obsessed, absolutely wonderful. It was released a long time ago, I think about, I don't know, I wouldn't say 10 years ago, maybe, a long time ago in any case. But Assassin's Creed Syndicate is about assassins. So they are, I would say, a society in today's world who, gosh, I don't want to go into all of the lore because I'm not an expert, help, what did I get myself into, but in present day England, I would say, and they go back in history and revisit their memories and try to eliminate another faction called the Templars in various parts of history, in various eras of history, basically. So basically what you are doing is that you are playing a protagonist who is an assassin in different eras of history. So each game is dedicated to a different period. And Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and the reason why I actually am obsessed with this game and why I got into it so fast and so well, is that it takes place in Victorian England, and one of my absolute obsessions is Victorian England. I love Victorian, Edwardian and Regency and Gilded Age. So those are my core eras of history. I love history and I love reading about history in those time periods. And so Assassin's Creed Syndicate takes place in Victorian England. Basically, you've got 7 boroughs in London, and you've got to conquer all of the 7 boroughs and take them back from the Templars, who are basically evil people. and you've got to do that through many quests and many things, and the main missions have got to do with taking down a powerful man who would like to control all of England, and through England and Britain, the world, because Britain at the time obviously was the centre of the world. So yeah, it's fascinating, it's really good. Mostly you get to fight people and kill people, but the missions I think are just varied enough and just tough enough for me to find it not too difficult. You've got many things you can do if you want it to be a difficult game, but for me, who I don't play much, I love playing games, I love playing video games, specific video games, but I'm not a very good player at all. I find everything so difficult, and this doesn't seem overwhelming to me. I'm actually quite at the almost at the end of the game, I think. And what I personally love to do the most, and what you might love doing the most as well, is collecting things. So games when you've got collectibles, so things which you need to explore the entire map to find, are just my favorite kind of games. So this is not an open world sort of thing, so you've got specific things you need to do, but you can just explore as you wish, and you've got many collectibles to that you can go through to finish the game. You can just do the main missions if you want to, but you can also, you know, just go and explore and do different things around London and collect different things, which I love doing. I was the happiest when I managed to finish my collection of pressed flowers around London, and I am currently, actually one of the first things that I did was collect well, open chests which give you money, and when I had enough money, I went ahead and did the pressed flowers, and then my next thing is going to be the Secrets of London, which are kind of puzzle pieces which you need to put back together in one specific place, and I suppose get a reward. I'm not sure what it is yet, but yeah. The story itself is not on par with, for example, my favourite game ever, which is Red Dead Redemption 2. It's not as deep, really, I would say. It's not spilled tea everywhere once again. My floor is going to be tea filled, and it's going to smell smoky and lapsing sushongi for the next 2 days, but that's okay. I like that. But yeah, it's not as deep and as well written, I would say, as other games, but it's okay by me. Plus there is actually, you play two protagonists in this specific Assassin's Creed game. You play Evie and Jacob, who are twins, and I love Evie, and I love Evie actually on her own. I think she's the best, but I also love her because she's got a romance going on with one of the other characters. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I have loved actually watching their romance just grow and develop, and it's been one of the joys of the game. It's not the point of the game, but it's been one of my particular personal joys, frankly. I just love the interactions together. Okay, and nearing the end now, I just wanted to just take a moment to reflect on my reading just a little bit, because obviously, as I told you before, I've been going through sure, a reading slump recently. However, I watched a video by Jen from Jen's Reading Life, talking about reading and about the pressure of reading and always reading something new, and being obsessed with numbers. All of it didn't really resonate with me because I've always been, I think, reading has always been very personal to me, and I don't really care much about numbers or anything. That being said, I've been considering myself in a reading slump. However, I've been reading quite a bit, but I should say, what I've been reading is actually books that I've read before. I've been doing a lot of rereading, which is something that I've always done, and which I did a little less of since being on BookTube, because there are so many recommendations and there are so many things which I added to my wish list, and you want to talk about new things in your videos. I don't make videos very constantly, but still. But rereading, I must say, is my favourite thing ever, more than reading new books. Actually, rereading is my favourite thing ever, and it's been just so healing to be rereading, to be going back to books which I already love, which I know I'm going to have a good time with, and which are going to restore my soul back to itself, and which are going to leave me completely comforted, wrapped in a cocoon, safe, just absolutely perfect. So at the moment, right now, I'm currently in the middle of several series which I'm reading, some of my favourites, and I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to perhaps at some point make a video about the books which I reread the most, because I personally own I think about 6, I don't know, I counted them at some point but I just forgot the number, but I own a few books, a few physical books at home, but I always go back to rereading the same books. These are the books which, again, are just part of me. Just I can always count on, no matter the time, can always get me out of a reading slump, can always, I just can just pick them up effortlessly and get back into them effortlessly, and which I always seem to take something new from as well, because I reread them and every time I just find something new in them, and every time they bring me something new. So I'm going to make a video about my favourite books that I like to reread, my favourite rereads. I think that would be interesting. Even though you don't read those books, I think it's just a lovely video really to watch. I personally would like to see more of those videos, because I think we talk about rereading as much as we should, really, because it's personally it's just my favourite thing in the world, honestly. So yeah, yeah, and I just wanted to say that, really. what a lame ending. Thank you for watching. That's better. Thank you for watching. I can't believe it actually took me 45 minutes to finish this tea. It's completely cold now. It's still good. What are you going to be doing today? What are you going to be doing this weekend? I personally, I think I'm going to record another video today. I'm going to record another video, so I'm going to make myself another cup of tea, take a break, and then come back for another video, which I'm probably going to be posting in May, definitely. And what else? I'm going to be reading for sure. I want to go out at some point, but I'm not sure I still want to, because I went for a run this morning. I went for a 5k, so I'm going to come back for a 5k tomorrow as well. So I don't know if I really have the strength or the willpower to go out as well, just to explore. But I may, if I go out, actually I might go to a garden, which is completely free, and we've got several really beautiful gardens in Paris, so that would be nice. And I think that's about it, honestly. Yeah, what are you going to do this weekend? Let me know, and I will hope I'll see you in my next video. Yeah, take care, and I will see you very soon.